A blimp, or non-rigid airship, is an airship without an internal structural framework or keel. Unlike semi-rigid and rigid airships, blimps rely on the pressure of the lifting gas inside the envelope and the strength of the envelope itself to maintain its shape. The term is sometimes also used to refer to the tethered craft properly known as moored balloons. While often very similar in shape, moored balloons have no propulsion and are tethered to the ground. Principle. Since blimps keep the shape with internal overpressure, typically the only solid parts of the passenger car in the tail fins, a non-rigid airship that uses heated air instead of a light gas as a lifting medium is called a hot air airship. Volume changes of the lifting gas due to temperature changes or to changes of altitude are compensated for by pumping air into internal ballonets to maintain the overpressure. Without sufficient overpressure, the blimp loses its ability to be steered and is slowed due to increased drag and distortion. The propeller airstream can be used to inflate the ballonets and of the hull. In some models, such as the ski ship 600, differential ballonet inflation can provide a measure of pitch trim control. The engines driving the propellers are usually directly attached to the gondola, and in some models are partly steerable. Blimps are the most commonly built airships because they are relatively easy to build and easy to transport once deflated. However, because of their unstable hull, the size is limited. A blimp with too long a hull may kink in the middle when the overpressure is insufficient or when maneuvered too fast. This led to the development of semi-rigids and rigid airships. Modern blimps are launched somewhat heavier than air, in contrast to historic blimps. The missing lift is provided by lifting the nose and using engine power, or by angling the engine thrust. Some types also use steerable propellers or ducted fans. Operating in a state heavier than air avoids the need to dump ballast at liftoff and also avoids the need to lose costly helium lifting gas on landing. Etymology. The origin of the word blimp has been the subject of some confusion. He notes two possible derivations, colloquially always were referred to as blimps. Over the years several explanations have been advanced about the origin of this word. The most common is that in the military vernacular the Type B was referred to as limp bag, which was simply abbreviated to blimp. An alternative explanation is that on the 5th of December 1915 Eddie Cunningham R.N., who designed the SSZ Type, flipped the envelope of a non-rigid airship with his fingers during an inspection, which produced a sound that he pronounced as blimp, and that the word then caught on as the nickname for all small non-rigid airships. The onomatopoeic derivation as the sound the airship makes when one taps the envelope with a finger has been recorded in the British Aeronautical Journal. A 1943 etymology published in the New York Times supports the British origin during the First World War when the British were experimenting with lighter-than aircraft. The initial non-rigid aircraft was called the A-Limp, and a second version, called the B-Limp, was deemed more satisfactory. Yet a third derivation is given by Barnes and Amp. James in Short's aircraft since 1900. In February 1915 the need for anti-submarine patrol airships became urgent, and the submarine scout type was quickly improvised by hanging an obsolete BE-2C fuselage from a spare Willow's envelope. This was done by the R.N.A.S. at King's North, and on seeing the result for the first time, Horace Short, already noted for his very apt and original vocabulary, named it blimp, adding, "What else would you call it?" Dr. A.D. Topping researched the origins of the word and concluded that the British had never had a Type B limp designation, and that Cunningham's coinage appeared to be the correct explanation. The Oxford English Dictionary notes its use in print in 1916. Visited the blimps. this afternoon at Capel, and in 1918, an onomatopoeic name invented by the genius for apposite nomenclature, the late Horace Short. The Blimp used. The B-class blimps were patrol airships operated by the United States Navy during and shortly after World War I. The Navy learned a great deal from the DN-1 fiasco. The result was the very successful B-type airships. Dr. Jerome Hunsaker was asked to develop a theory of airship design. This was followed by then Lieutenant John H. Towers, USN, returning from Europe having inspected British designs, and the U.S. Navy subsequently sought bids for 16 blimps from American manufacturers. On the 4th of February 1917, the Secretary of the Navy directed that 16 non-rigid airships of Class B be procured. Ultimately Goodyear built 9 envelopes, Goodrich built 5 and Curtiss built the gondolas for all of those 14 ships. Connecticut Aircraft contracted with U.S. Rubber for its 2 envelopes and with Pigeon Fraser for its gondolas. The Curtiss-built gondolas were modified JN4 fuselages and were powered by OX-5 engines. The Connecticut Aircraft blimps were powered by Hall-Scott engines. In 1930, a former German airship officer, Captain Anton Heinen, working in the U.S. for the U.S. Navy on its dirigible fleet, attempted to design and build a 4-place blimp called the Family Air Yacht for private flyers, which the inventor claimed would be priced below $10,000 and easier to fly than a fixed-wing aircraft if placed in production. It was unsuccessful. In 2014, there were approximately 13 active advertising airships in the world today. Van Wagner Airship Group is the owner and operator of 8 of these active ships, including the Hood Blimp, DirecTV Blimp, and the MetLife Blimp. Examples of non-rigid airships. Manufacturers in many different countries have built blimps in many different designs. Some examples include TC-3 and TC-7, 2 U.S. Army Corps non-rigid blimps used for parasite fighter trials during 1923-24. British Army airship Beta, coastal class airship, C**class airship, UK coastal blimps used in WWI, SS, SSP, SSD, SSZ and NS class airships, convoy escort blimps used by the UK in World War I, G-class blimp, Null-class blimp, US training blimps built by Goodyear during World War II, K-class blimp and M-class blimp, US anti-submarine blimps operated during World War II, N-class blimp, used for anti-submarine and as a radar early warning platform during the 1950s, Goodyear blimps, a fleet of blimps operated for advertising purposes and is a television camera platform, Ski Ship 600, a private blimp used by advertising companies, P791, an experimental aerostatic, aerodynamic hybrid airship developed by Lockheed Martin Corporation, SVAMCA-80, an airship manufactured by the Shanghai Vantage Airship Manufacture Co. in China, WDL-2 airship for aerial advertising manufactured and used by WDL Group Germany. Willows airships,